I'm going to carry on with the animals project this week, and where's the volume gone? There you go. Yeah. You quite fancied working from that one, didn't you? So I thought I'll use that one as a demo. Just before I go into that, there's a couple of things just to mention. I think I brought this one in last week. So this one is going to go to the art trail, and we have like a secret auction sort of thing. So it's to raise money for the trail. I can't remember if I mentioned that or not, but that's what I'm going to be. This one's going to go into the secret auction. So if anybody wants to bid on that, the cards are there. Well, I thought I'd start promoting it early because last year nobody bid on my paintings. So I didn't get any bids, so I want to get it moved on. This one actually was going to be my entry for last year, and I started it, and then they covered the crooked bill in scaffolding, so I didn't get to finish it last year. So I came back and finished it this year. So that's all ready to go now.
How do you do the bidding?
So what you do is that during the trail, all the venues will have these cards. So, and then they'll have a box to put them in. So you can, if anybody wants to buy bidding now, they can do. And I've got a little box there, we can stick them in. But yeah, in each of the venues there'll be cards, and they get collected up at the end as well. And the winning bid, somebody will contact the winning bidder. So that's how it goes. So, next week, I'm going to need to be away for part of the lesson.
No, next week you're off.
Sorry, yeah, I'm going to be away for the lesson next week. We're all going to be away next week. Sorry, the week after. Sorry. So next week there's no lesson at all. So don't arrive next week. We're having a 1 week break next week. Then there's one more session after that. But part of that session I need to go away for. I've got this sort of medical appointment I could do taking. So I think, well, maybe I'll just make it a free session. I'll come and make sure everything's set up. I'll be here some of the session, but I'll need to sort of go away for half an hour or something like that. So just to give you a heads up. So that's the week after next. No session next week. Right, so back to the horses. I've just made a start because I was thinking perhaps, like last couple of weeks, I think I've done acrylic, so I thought I'd perhaps do a little bit of watercolour for a change. But this is kind of in line with what I wanted to do, which was like a grouping of animals. We've done something that's a bit more like an animal portrait so far. But I rather like scenes where you've got either people or animals in them. And I quite like the way that you can get them to animate a space. So I think this was one of Pauline's, a photo that Pauline's used. In a way, as a composition, it's quite nice. It's fairly long, thin. It almost feels like it could do with a bit more space here. This one's a bit shoved up against the edge. And again, probably a little bit here, really. It might be nice, slightly longer. But it looks like it's a photo out of a newspaper. So they're not necessarily cropped for the best artistic reasons, really. I started sketching out on the paper, then I realised my paper is a little bit squarer than this. This is quite a long format, so I've had to reduce them in size a little bit. But the way I like to start out, as many of you know, is just to do something very, very light and just feel my way around the big shapes. So I've not really done any measuring. I've just really apart from actually just seeing how wide that was to the depth. This horse and this horse, you've got quite a bit of foreshortening there. So it's very easy for these to stretch out. But in actual fact, if I looked at that, it's actually taller than it is wide. So, which you wouldn't necessarily imagine. But so that's where doing a little bit of measuring, even just a very simple bit of comparative measuring, just use a pencil, see how wide that is, and then compare it. And then that's a useful one to.
Would you start with the middle horse as well?
I'm going to, yeah. Well, I kind of started just getting these shapes, but as I say, I've had to move them around a little bit anyway because I had them too big, and this may be a little bit wide actually now still. Possibly might be right, but yeah, in actually drawing, I'm going to start with this one. Partly because I can see this one's head, and that's the one that needs to be sort of in balance. I suppose another way might be to start with that one. That might work equally well. Now I've got it placed, I could start there. But I'll just go for this one. So the middle of its head is about there. So once I'm there, I then just get a sense of where the eyes are and the eye level. So guideline that way, guideline that way. I wouldn't necessarily, this is so you can see it really, but with a watercolour I wouldn't draw quite so heavily as this. So I've got the eyes, and then just work my way now down to the nose, which I think is about there. And the nose shape a little bit like this. So this is going to be watercolour, so I don't need to put too much detail in. I just need a sense of where all the big shapes are going to be. So it's got a fringe coming down to there, and ears up to there. Another ear there, and then his neck. That, if I carried that line on there, that would probably go through that eye. So that's one way of just sort of relating this bit to this bit. And then I think this part of the front leg coming down here. And that's, I think, coming down to about there should do. And actually both legs are, you know, the other leg is tucked in behind there. Its belly is roughly in line with its nose, so that's going to be about there. So that'd be like its rib cage in there. Maybe I'll carry on a little bit over here. So it's going up to about there. Back of its neck. If you can see anything, any of these sort of subtle things, like where the leg carries on, that's quite useful. And trying to see that bit as a shape. So looking at where the joint between the belly and the leg, back leg would be. So I think I may be coming forward a little bit there. That's quite handy. Check the height of its bottom with its neck. That's just a fraction lower. And then maybe work through here. So these shapes here, these are sort of what you think of as negative shapes. That helps me, looking at that as a shape, seeing how wide that is to how deep. That'll help me to draw this back leg. So I'm thinking probably about here. Let's go back there a little bit. And then it's more or less on the same level, but I think this hoof is slightly raised, it's sort of doing that. This elbow there. And again, another negative shape in here. So that will come in. And that one, it's hard to see because of the grass, but that, I think it's coming down to about there. And I can then follow that up and round the back. Something like that. So I'm not standing square on, so it may have got a bit stretched out and distorted, but that's basically the process I go through. Mixed the wrong colours. I mixed the colours for that. I was going to do a quick watercolour demo, so I won't draw that as well because it's the same sort of process. I'll just mix some more colours there. So it's, you know, quite a lot of greys really. Some lighter greys, some darker greys. I think I'll try and get one wash to pretty much cover everything to start with, and then that could then dry, and then I could perhaps do a light wash to cover everything. And then while that dries, I can cut in back with some of the darker ones. So very quickly mix some more colours. So I've got a little bit of black, and I don't like to use black on its own, so I'll put some other colours in with it. So perhaps some blues and a little bit of green maybe. Tiny bit of red, otherwise it can look a little bit stark. Use a nice, slightly bigger brush. And a fair bit of water, so I've got a big enough wash to be able to cover the whole horse without having to go back. Go a little bit lighter just here. Just lighten that up a little. Just added a bit of water to my brush just to lighten that. So very quickly we'll pop that in, and back to the original mix. So ideally want to get the first layer on with before anything starts to dry. I haven't really thought about these bits of grass, to be honest. So that's that bit, and then while it's still wet, there's some bits that can go a bit darker. Some areas I want quite soft edges, like here. This can be a bit sharper. So I'll make a stronger mix of my colour. And go in a bit darker in places. That doesn't want to be too dark there actually. A bit of that out. With watercolours, ideally not quite so vertical as this. Got a bit more time to work. Yeah, they can get quite a bit darker. And this is quite dark. In here, this bit is starting to dry now. So it's probably coming to the point where I don't want to do too much more for the minute, because I'll start to get sharper, harder edges. Just a little bit. So that bit has dried, so I'm kind of adding another wash. So kind of let that dry, and then I would go in a bit darker here, and almost like, so this would be like the next layer when it's all properly dry. Let's cut back and just try and leave some of these lighter bits showing. A little bit like that. To give a sense of where what's main would be. Starting a bit dark. So, okay, so I think that's about as far as I can take that one. But yeah, that's the sort of thing, try and build it up in a couple of layers. I find that really hard. It's so hard to just work it out, you know, what's the best way to go about that. It might be better to, I don't know, if it's still wet, a little bit out, things like that. Anyway, I'll leave it at that.